welcome. It's me, Percita, and this is Percita's Paradox. So I am back. I had a beautiful European trip to Paris with my husband for our 25th wedding anniversary, and it was beautiful and amazing and all those other good things. So I am back and rejuvenated and ready to give you all I have for the ending of this beautiful month of love and Black History Month. And today what I want to start off with is there's a lot of times in our lives that we have these moments that we decide that we want to do things and we want to do them in a manner that they're grandioso, right? Like we don't really want to just take little steps. Prime example, when you're going to someplace like Europe, you want to really like go above and beyond and really make sure you have everything perfect and everything is wonderful and super expensive and all those things. Well, I'm going to tie that into the fact of today's message and today's video, which is, are you willing to do the work? Now, it's one thing to really want it, and it's one thing to really put yourself in a position where you feel like, you know what, Percita, I would travel as much as I would think that I want to, as much as you feel like you do, but I don't really feel like either I can afford it or I have the time or whatever it is. Let me say that in going forth into this conversation, if you really pay attention to the fact that your day-to-day life, the things that you do in your weekend life, let's just say your restaurants and your date nights and things like that, really require more money, time, and effort than an actual trip. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go to Europe. I love Europe. I typically travel to Europe. A lot of people like the beach. I actually like Europe more than I like the beach. So I don't really do a lot of tropical visits because I get kind of bored. But I say all that to say, I travel a lot. And in traveling a lot, it's something that I've learned I just create better memories for myself. That's just my preference and my prerogative, right? And maybe yours is different. But even in saying that, what I say to myself, am I really willing to do the work? What I understand is usually I am. But most find it strange that I do as much traveling as I do because either they find it very costly or very time consuming or just out of their reach. And today, I want to really talk to you about, will you do the work to actually reach your dreams and goals this year instead of coming up with an excuse? That's our topic. Will you do the work? So let's start off with identifying what that actually means. I wrote something on my Instagram story yesterday that kind of made me giggle. And what I said was, I've never met a rich person who's a gossiper. Some people get that off the bat, and others will go like, I don't really get it, Percita. What do you mean? What I mean is that people who really find themselves wealthy, rich in anything in life, from their wellness of self to the mind, to the body, spirit, financially, which is always, a very tangible quantifier of what I'm saying, they don't really have the time to really focus on what other people are doing. So what I meant by that is I'm saying they're always willing to put in the work to do things that make them extraordinary and put them in a position where their extraordinary becomes extraordinary. I like to break that word down because extraordinary really puts emphasis on it's extra. It's not something that any and everybody does. They're not willing to run with the masses. They're always creating something that's individualized for them and their goals and successes for the long haul. Now, I think we all can agree that it's not always the simplest to do things in an extraordinary way. But what I will say is that it takes time and effort and planning to really make that something that you find yourself able to do more consistently. And it's not about what people think or how they feel or what they want to say about you. That's not really what I'm trying to say. And when I use travel as a marker, I'm not using it as something to put you down about if you're not at a place where you're doing it. I use travel as more of a marker to be able to identify the difference between the memories that you create, the experiences that you create, the accolade that you're willing to give yourself in that against tangible things that grow dusty and old and you're really not able to do anything with. Meaning when you are in a travel mindset, and that could just be traveling throughout the States. Like, don't get me wrong, traveling is traveling. It's just you understand that things are different. Everything's not as it seems. Every state and country does not function the way society or the media or other people who've gone actually works. It's really more of a position of you have the memory for yourself. Very complicated to put yourself in things that are not giving you an exposure to something that's new. So when I focus on, am I willing to do the work? I use that analogy across the board for everything that I do, every single thing. So even when we're talking about fitness and things like that, then I'm always going to go above and beyond to achieve and reach my goal, because I want to be the best me I can be. And I understand that if I want it, I have to build it. And that's really the issue. If you want it, you actually have to build it. You can't expect things to be given to you, or a hookup, or someone else's effort to just kind of drop into your lap, be it you're waiting on them to, I don't know, move jobs or maybe die off or whatever it is. We have to understand in life in general, it's about the work that you're willing to put in. So when I say travel, I use it as an analogy of most people just aren't willing to put in the work, the time, the effort to really make it happen, right? And travel is something that I feel like everyone can do on any and every level. There's not any particular way you can't travel. Now we could say things like, okay, buying a house might be complicated. And I, can hear people already screaming at me, I should say. Oh, Percita, you want to have a home before you travel. No, you want to travel. You want to actually do the things that you can do. Buying a home is not a bad thing. But if buying a home is a far reach from you, you don't need to wait to buy a home to travel. Because you may find out that the home in the area you want to actually live in is not what you want at all. And maybe God didn't allow it because he wants to give you another location. So I still say work within your means, but don't limit yourself. Don't tell yourself no. Literally put your goals and aspirations out. Speak them, move in them, walk in them every day to achieve them instead of actually putting yourself in a question. I'm a faith walker, right? And what that basically means is that I don't really look at what I see. I actually believe what I don't see. So I believe what I have been told within my spirit what I am to achieve. Now that's kind of hard if you're not a believer in that sense, and if you don't really have a spiritual grounding in anything, then that would be a far-fetched statement for you. And someone would say, well, that's cool, Percita, but look, the truth and the reality is I only have a couple $100 in the bank. And I'd say, what can you eliminate to make that happen? Starbucks, eating out every week, maybe having drinks, maybe happy hour after work, plenty of things that you can do. Even when we're talking about Black people in particular, and, I hear people talking about the hoods and things like that, I always point out to them that Black people are not broke. We're just really bad managers of our money. But I am not going to ever tell you that our culture of being Black is broke, because we're not. We're trendsetters. We actually set the goals for other people. Therefore, I know there's no way to be a goal setter and be broke. We just don't manage our money properly. But we have the money. And I feel like that across the board. Most people and cultures have the resources. There's just a mismanagement of what it is. So in using the analogy of travel in your, if you want it, build it, are you willing to do the work? It's just a prime example of understanding what that is. Now, it could be something else for you. For me, again, I'm just using travel as an example, but it could be anything. It could be buying a home. It could be building your credit. It could be having a child. This all requires you to build it. If you want it, you have to build it. You cannot expect anyone to give you anything. And if you're not in a position where you're willing to build it, then you got to stop and ask yourself why. And what excuse are you really using against what the truth and reality is of your situation and your circumstances? And I think that's the hardest conversation to actually have with yourself, because when you're talking to yourself, you really should not be able to lie. Meaning it should still sit within you to go, I'm kind of making that up. Because it's really cool to kind of go out and eat, or, I love the brunch on Sunday and things like that. But guess what? If any of that interferes with me achieving the goals that I have to do something financially, then I'm going to eliminate that. Why? Because I like to travel. So we're right back into the I'm willing to do the work in order to achieve that goal. The question for you is, what is the goal that you're not sacrificing for, that you could do better in, that you should be willing to do the work in? If you can identify what that is, it makes it that much easier for you to move forward in life to figure out what it is that's holding you back and who is holding you back. It could be you. 9 times out of 10, it's you holding you back because you're not willing to do the work. And that work might then eliminate you from hanging out with friends. You may lose some people that you thought were close to you because they feel obligated for you to do things the way they're used to you doing it. But if you want a different level of blessing, a different level of lifestyle, there's things that you have to do in order to do that. So you don't really want to get comfortable in any particular place. You want to always be willing to be number one again. And number one does not mean number one in success. It means the first one to step out and try something. So that change is what identifies you as, are you willing to do the work? Because with every blessing also comes a curse. And if you're not aware of that, then you'll literally not be willing to pay the price for the blessing because of the fact you know that there is some sense of change, your identity that has to happen within you so that you can actually achieve your goals. And those goals and that change are all up to you and how you look at them and how you move forward with it. So really ponder that and think, am I just willing to do what it takes? So I'll ask you again, are you willing to do the work? See, I believe you are. If you're on this video, on this channel, watching me speak, there's something in you that wants to do different. You understand you can't continue to do the things that you've been doing in order to achieve or arrive at a new destination. So with you already making these steps, hear the words that I'm saying and actually try to ponder them for what it is that you're needing to do and how you can actually achieve the goals, because being willing to do that work will absolutely pay in a manner that I cannot express. The self-gratitude that you will have, meaning you'd be grateful for yourself for not giving up. And you'd be very proud of yourself for not giving up. And these are two things that we don't identify with as self-care and self-love, but to be grateful for yourself, to be willing to stand with yourself, to bet on you, to understand that you're the only person that can actually make it happen is key. So I'm going to end on that note and simply say, again, are you willing to do what it takes? Do you want it bad enough to build it? As usual, always, thank you so much for joining me. Remember to like, share, and comment on the videos. Remember to go back and see any video that you might need that ties to this. For the most part, going forward, I try to talk in series, so I try to stay within a theme. This is going into our March theme of actual self-awareness and self-sabotage. So I think it's going to be a great time and a great couple of videos of series here and there to really talk about what I think is kind of prevalent in our society as we currently speak. We just do a lot of self-doubt that does not allow us to grow and breathe as I believe we are built to do. So again, thank you so much. Stay with me. Stay with me. It's going to be a great year. Again, can't be me without you. You already know the drill. Remember to do 3 things. Live life authentic. Thank you again so much. I'll see you Thursday. Have a blessed day.